Did you notice this detail in Attack on Titan? Did you know that in the very first episode of the show, the existence of Marley is actually hinted at? If you go back and look at the very first title card, you can actually see Marley, the ocean, and the walls on Paradis. My theory is that this exact ship in the ocean is the same ship that Reiner, Bertholdt, Annie, and Marcel traveled to Paradis on for the first time. Did you notice this foreshadowing in Attack on Titan? When Eren and Zeke secretly met up in Marley to discuss their plan, during the scene where Zeke throws his baseball to Eren, if you look closely at their shadows, you'll actually notice that their heads are missing, directly foreshadowing both of the brothers' fates in the show's ending. Did you notice this detail in Attack on Titan? During Season 1 Episode 2, when Eren, Mikasa, Armin, and all of the other people of Shiganshina are evacuating to Wall Rose, if you pay very close attention, you'll actually be able to spot Annie amongst the refugees. Also, later on in the same episode, before many people were sent off to their death in an attempt to solve the famine within the walls, Reiner and Bertholdt can also be seen amongst the crowd. Did you notice this insane detail in Attack on Titan? We all remember when Eren and Zeke were traveling through the paths to the past, when Zeke was trying to show Eren that he'd been brainwashed by Grisha just like him. But did you know that if you paid very close attention in Season 1, you can actually spot the adult version of Eren chilling in certain shots? Boulder. Did you notice this detail in Attack on Titan? In Season 2, when the scouts are told to evacuate all nearby villages after they thought that Wall Rose had been breached, we see Sasha saving a girl from a creepily small Titan. However, what many people may have missed is that this Titan was actually Connie's dad. The Titans that were inside the walls that day were simply the citizens of Rakiko after Zeke turned them all into Titans. Did you notice this detail in Attack on Titan? In Season 2, when some of the scouts are taking refuge in the castle ruins, Reiner walks in on Ymir rummaging through a box of canned food. More specifically, canned herring. However, when she passes the can to Reiner, he was completely startled by this. The reason why is because the writing on the can was actually in Marleyan. But seeing as they both could understand the language on the can, they revealed to each other their true identities. Did you notice this in Attack on Titan? We all remember when Eren was eaten by the bearded Titan in Season 1 after trying to save Armin. But something was actually completely overlooked here. If you look closely, you'll actually notice that Armin was right there when Eren transformed for the very first time, but he was too shocked about Eren being eaten to realize what had happened. Did you notice this sad detail in Attack on Titan? Throughout the show, our main three characters often follow a similar order. Eren always rushing ahead, Mikasa chasing closely behind him, and Armin trailing behind them both. In Paths with Zeke, Armin talks about the time that they once raced to the tree on top of the hill. This further highlights this dynamic. But did you notice that in the ending of the show, we see Armin once again being the last to the tree, except this time, it was him being the last one alive. This is the saddest detail in Attack on Titan. Did you know that during Eren and Armin's final conversation, there's a hidden detail that has a truly sad meaning behind it? We all remember back in Season 3 when Armin picks up a seashell after the scouts finally made it to the ocean. Eren was the only one who didn't see it. In fact, he first saw the shell during his and Armin's very last conversation. Eren didn't see it before because he was too busy looking ahead at his enemies beyond the ocean. He was simply lost in his strive for freedom to the point where he couldn't even enjoy the present moment. Did you notice this hidden detail in Attack on Titan? In the show's 5th opening, there are a few shots that reveal many of the plot lines within Season 3. However, this detail was almost impossible to catch if you weren't specifically looking for it. When we see Armin waking up, there's actually one singular frame that shows him in his burnt up state, referencing his battle against the Colossal Titan. Did you notice this detail in Attack on Titan? In the second ending sequence of Season 1, the identities of the warriors and Ymir are actually foreshadowed. At first we can see all of the scouts next to one of the walls. It then transitions to the other side of the wall where we see Annie, Reiner, Berthold, and Ymir all standing behind it. As we know now, these characters all came from across the sea over on Marley. Did you notice this detail in Attack on Titan? When Annie's about to leave with Falco, Gabi, and the Azumabito, everyone is saying goodbye to her except for Levi, who is very quiet. This is because he never forgot about the fact that she absolutely decimated his squad and many of his other comrades back in Season 1, and it seems like he isn't going to forgive her anytime soon. Did you notice this in Season 4 of Attack on Titan? In the episode From You 2000 Years Ago, we are shown Ymir's backstory. As she's running away from the people chasing her, we see a bloodied flower. What's special about this flower though is that there are 9 petals, which we all know is how many Titan shifters there are. What's even crazier though is that when all of the other slaves snitch on Ymir, there were 13 hands pointing at her. A Titan shifter only lives for 13 years. Some pretty cool attention to detail if you ask me. This detail in Attack on Titan will make you cry. During the show's finale, when all of the scouts and Marleyan warriors are reuniting with each other and their families, we all saw that Connie and Jan somehow managed to reunite with Sasha. However, if you paid very close attention, you would have actually noticed that in the background you can actually see her fade away. Connie immediately starts to cry and Jan goes to comfort him. A truly heartbreaking detail. Did you know about this detail in Attack on Titan? Hidden away in the Attack on Titan manga, when he shows us the flashback of the Marleyan warriors doing a test as part of their training, if you look very closely in the background, you'll actually notice a familiar angry student. This is of course a direct reference to the famous internet meme. Did you notice this tiny detail in Attack on Titan? Throughout the show we all saw Eren go through a variety of different hairstyles, but if you look very closely at different points you'll notice that they all somewhat resemble the haircuts of the previous holders of his Titans. When he saw his dad's memories in jail, he had a similar hairstyle to him. We all know his famous man bun from after he ate the Warhammer Titan as well, and sometimes he even had a similar hairstyle to Frida Reese. This detail in Attack on Titan will break your heart. We all remember when Armin broke down crying after he saw Mikasa holding Eren's head. But the truth behind this moment is even more crushing. Armin wasn't actually with the scouts when they decided that they had to kill Eren to stop the rumbling, meaning that this moment where he breaks down was the first he heard of the new plan.